Ever wondered what to do with Grandma's old china or those pretty dishes you always see at the thrift store? I picked up 4 teacups, 4 saucers, and 1 larger cereal bowl at Goodwill. First, we need to drill a hole in the center of each dish. Mark your center point where you want the hole and clamp the dish down securely so it won't move on you. Most of your dishes will need a hole right in the center of them, but you'll also want to plan ahead for where your power cord will feed out of your base pieces. You'll need a basic DIY lamp kit for this. Take a few minutes to read through all of the instructions up front so you understand how all of the pieces will fit together now before you start assembling. It's really not too complicated, but you want to make sure you know what part goes in what order. Grab a tube of E6000 adhesive and start building from the bottom up. Add glue to your contact points between dishes, press them together, then let them sit for about 5 minutes to get tacky before making them permanent. As you stack each piece, continue threading the lamp cord up through the holes that you drilled. Once you reach the top, follow your lamp kit instructions to attach the socket and wiring. This is simpler than it looks, and once it's all wired up, you can go ahead and screw in a light bulb and test out your new lamp. Top it off with a lampshade to finish things off, and you have a one-of-a-kind lamp with so much vintage charm. Who would have guessed that a pile of old dishes that were collecting dust could turn into something so charming?
To start this project, I headed to the Dollar Tree and picked up 4 of these glass candlesticks. Next, I removed the stickers from all the candlesticks, making sure to remove any residue that was left over. Then I placed the first candlestick right side up on my table and applied an even layer of E6000 glue for a permanent hold, followed by some hot glue for an immediate hold. Then placed the next candlestick upside down onto the first one. I made sure to line up the ridges located on the outside of both candlesticks for a more seamless look. Once the second candlestick was secure, I repeated the same pattern for the last 2. Once the glue dried for several hours, I spray painted the entire stack of candlesticks with 2 coats of a matte black spray paint. Once the spray paint was dry, I used a dry sponge paintbrush and painted some antique gold rub and buff all over the high points of the candlestick stack, then used a paper towel to buff out the paint and make it a little bit shiny. This finish gave it the look of antique brass, which was what I was going for. Next, I picked up a medium-sized linen lampshade from the craft store that didn't require a harp. Then I marked where the lampshade made contact with the top candlestick in 3 places and made a mark with a permanent marker. I added some hot glue to those marks, then placed the lampshade back on top of the candlestick to secure it. I found some battery-operated puck lights on Amazon and added batteries to 1. I removed the sticker backing from the puck light and traced that circle onto a magnet sheet, then added 3 more strips of magnet to the areas where the puck light came into contact with the metal bars of the lampshade. I added my new cordless lamp to my nightstand that it's in a dark corner of my bedroom, and now I no longer have to worry about tripping over cords when I get in and out of bed, and I have some added light for cozy nights.
All right, so for this project, we are gonna start with 7 of these bowls. I got them from Dollar Tree. You're also gonna need some E6000, and you wanna give yourself enough time for this to dry overnight. So I'm gonna just basically go around the lip of the bottom. And from there, we are going to take the same bowl. We're gonna place it on top. We're gonna do this again. And we're gonna do 1 more set. So I'm gonna give these a little bit of time to cure before we move on to the next step. All right, now that we've let these dry a little bit, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna be taking my E6000 and I'm gonna go around the top of this. All right, so we're going to stack it on top. Make sure it's centered. So this is kind of what we're looking like right now. And we're gonna do this 1 more time. And so we're gonna come back when all of these are stacked on top of each other. All right, so we've let this dry overnight. We're back to go to our next step, which will be painting. I'm using Dixie Belle Vintage Duck Egg Chalk Paint. I got the big one. I usually use this kind of paint for furniture projects, but I thought this color would be really pretty for this project, but you know, you can always choose whatever color you want to use. And what we're going to be doing is we are just going to be covering all of the bowls, all of them. Now, if you like this look, if you like the marbled, keep it this way. But if you wanna change it up and you were just looking for the shape, then we're just going to apply paint all over. And the nice thing about chalk paint is that it does dry pretty fast. All right, so now that we have assembled all the bowls together and the paint has dried, we're gonna move on to our next step, where I grabbed 2 of these. They come in a 2-pack of, it's floral foam, floral styrofoam. And what I'm gonna be doing is I'm actually gonna be gluing these 2 together. Now you may notice on this side, I have already gone and put a hole in the center. We're gonna replicate this hole on the second one as well. So I'm actually gonna use E6000 for this step. The reason being that hot glue has a tendency to melt styrofoam. So we don't wanna do that. Line it up. And then we're gonna let that sit until it dries. All right, so now that this is glued together, what we're gonna do is we are gonna take an X-Acto blade and we are gonna trace around the inside of the hole that I created and go all the way through. And we're gonna go all the way around until we are able to pop it out. What we're gonna do next is we are going to, we're gonna paint this. And I want to preface this by saying I did want to make this a Dollar Tree only project. So you could get a piece of, like a circular piece of wood, or cut a piece of wood down if you want for this project. But this is a really inexpensive alternative that I think is going to work just fine. So we're going to go ahead and paint this really quick. I'm going to use the same paint that I used on the bowls. We're just going to cover, including the sides. You don't need to, you actually will not need to paint the underside, just the sides and the top. And give it enough time to dry, and we'll move on to our next step after that. So now that we've let our paint dry, what we're gonna do is we are going to use some hot glue, and we are going to be attaching it. I'm gonna start with the bottom part and then add as needed. So I'm gonna take the center, I'm gonna tilt that up. So now that we've attached this, I'm using a Gorilla Glue stick, so they tend to cure pretty quickly. So we are going to take a solar light. Now I really love using solar lights for these fun projects. They're really great for outdoor decor. So what we're gonna be doing is we're actually gonna be taking this apart. So pulling it apart. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take a lampshade. What we're going to be doing is we are going to get our base in the right spot. I'm going to be taking the lamp, placing it over, and then from there we are going to put the top part of our solar light, and it's going to nestle right in and stay. So we have a really cute lamp that we're going to use for my outdoor patio area. So we're gonna go ahead and allow this solar light to charge in the sun, and then we'll be back.
And there you have it. Here is my finished DIY cordless solar lamp for my outdoor patio. I hope that you enjoyed this project and feel inspired to try this on your own. I really love how this turned out, and it was super simple to make, super easy, and it didn't take a lot of time. So thank you so much for watching Home Talk, and I will see you in the next one.